Death terrifies a narcissist for this spiritual reason. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for a moment. We all have something in common. This life we're living is temporary. Every breath we take is a gift, and one day that gift will no longer be ours to hold. And yet, some people walk through life believing they're untouchable, believing they're the center of the universe. But let me tell you something, death terrifies the narcissist. And it's not just because they fear the unknown. It's not just because they don't want to lose their status, their power, or their reflection in the mirror. It's because, deep down, they know they have built nothing eternal. See? A narcissist craves validation. They thrive on external applause, on control, on an illusion that they are larger than life. But death doesn't care about their bank account. Death doesn't care about their followers, their power, or their ego. Death is the great equalizer. And for the narcissist, that is terrifying because here's the truth. What matters is not what you take from this world, but what you leave behind. Real power isn't in the image you create, it's in the impact you make. It's in the lives you lift, the love you share, the energy you give. The narcissist fears death because they've spent their entire existence feeding an illusion. They fear the silence that comes when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when they must face the truth of who they really are. But you are different. You're here because you want to build something greater than yourself. You're here because you want to make your time matter. And the way to overcome the fear of death is to stop living for yourself and start living for something bigger. So today I challenge you, step into your power, live with purpose, build something real, because the only people who fear death are the ones who never truly lived. Death is the great equalizer. It strips away ego status and illusion. Think about it. Every person who has ever walked this earth, no matter how powerful, no matter how famous, no matter how wealthy, every single one of them faced the same reality in the end. No one is immune. No one gets a free pass. No one can buy their way out of it. The richest billionaire, the most influential politician, the biggest celebrity, they all face the same moment when the curtain closes. Yet so many people walk around acting like they're untouchable. They put on a show, they chase power, they live for the applause, believing that somehow they can outsmart the inevitable, but when it's time to go, none of that matters. The bank accounts get locked, the awards collect dust, the followers move on, the headlines disappear. What's left is the truth of how you lived, the relationships you built, the love you gave, the impact you made. You can't take the cars, the mansions, or the fame with you. And deep down that terrifies the narcissist because everything they built is made of smoke and mirrors. When death comes knocking, it doesn't care about the illusion. It only sees the essence of who you really are. And that's why the narcissist is afraid. Because without their image, without their control, without their constant validation, they feel like they are nothing. But you're different. You see past the illusion. You know that life isn't about what you collect, but about what you contribute. You understand that the real measure of a person isn't in what they own, but in how they've served, how they've loved, how they've lifted others up. And when you live that way, there is no fear of death because you know that even when your time comes, your legacy will live on. So stop chasing the illusion. Stop getting caught up in the nonsense. Start living for what actually matters because the only thing that truly survives you is the impact you made while you were here. Narcissists fear death because their self-worth is built on external validation. The narcissist walks into a room and needs to be the center of attention. They thrive on admiration, on control, on people looking up to them. Their entire sense of self-worth is built on what others think of them. It's a fragile foundation built on shaky ground. They need constant approval, constant recognition, constant reassurance that they are important, because without it, they feel empty inside. And that's why death is their biggest fear, because death doesn't clap, death doesn't admire, death doesn't bow down. When death arrives, there is no audience, no spotlight, no applause, just silence. And that silence is terrifying for them because it forces them to face the truth. They are not as important as they made themselves believe. All the manipulation, all the control, all the power games, none of it matters when the show is over. They spent their entire lives trying to prove they were more significant than everyone else, but in the end, they are reduced to the same dust as every other human being. And that's the part they can't handle. That's why they live in denial. That's why they refuse to think about it. But you don't have to live that way because your worth isn't built on what others think of you. It's built on who you are when no one is watching. You don't need to chase validation. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to live authentically, love deeply, and serve with purpose. Because when you do that, you don't fear death. You welcome it, knowing that you've left something real behind. What you take from this world is temporary, but what you give is eternal. Spend their lives trying to collect things, money, status, possessions, recognition. They think that if they have more, they will be more. But let me tell you something, you don't own anything. It's all borrowed. Every single thing you have will one day belong to someone else. The car you drive, someone else will own it. The house you live in, someone else will move in. The business you built, someone else will run it. Nothing is truly yours. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can start focusing on what actually matters. Because the only thing that truly belongs to you is what you give away, the love you give, the kindness you show, the lives you change. When you're gone, people won't remember what you owned. They won't remember the brand of clothes you wore. They won't remember how many followers you had. They will remember how you made them feel. They will remember how you showed up for them. They will remember the impact you had on their lives. That's the real legacy. That's the only thing that stands the test of time. And yet so many people waste their lives chasing things that will never fulfill them. They hoard wealth instead of sharing it. They chase fame instead of building relationships. They focus on getting instead of giving. But the secret to a fulfilled life is this: the more you give, the richer you become. Not in money, not in status, but in meaning, in purpose, in impact. So stop focusing on what you can take, start focusing on what you can give, because that's the only thing that truly lasts. Real fulfillment comes from impact, not applause. It's easy to get caught up in the chase for recognition, the chase for status, the chase for that next big achievement that'll finally make you feel like you're enough. But let me ask you something. Has the applause ever truly satisfied you? Have the likes, the awards, the standing ovations ever filled that deeper void inside? Because if you're honest, the answer is no. The applause fades, the moment passes, and suddenly you're left needing the next hit, the next achievement, the next round of validation. That's why so many people, even the ones at the top, feel empty. They've spent their entire lives chasing approval instead of chasing impact. But real fulfillment, that doesn't come from how many people cheer for you. It comes from how many people's lives you've changed. It comes from the moments when you made someone believe in themselves, when you lifted someone up, when you gave without expecting anything in return. And the crazy part, the moment you shift your focus from applause to impact, your entire world changes. You stop needing people to recognize you. You stop chasing status. You start feeling something deeper, something real. Because impact is eternal. The moment you touch someone's life, that ripple effect never stops. It goes beyond you. It outlives you. And when your time comes, you won't be thinking about the trophies, the titles, or the social media numbers. You'll be thinking about the faces of the people you helped, the stories of the lives you changed, the legacy you left behind. So stop looking for applause. Start looking for ways to serve. Because fulfillment doesn't come from being admired. It comes from making a difference. The way to overcome fear of death is to live for something greater than yourself. Let me ask you something. If you knew you only had 1 year left to live, how would you live it? Would you waste time scrolling endlessly, arguing over meaningless things, stressing over opinions that don't matter? Or would you live with passion? Would you love harder, give more, chase your dreams without hesitation? Most people live like they have forever. They put things off. They say, one day I'll do that. But the truth is, one day isn't promise. And when death knocks at the door, the ones who fear it most are the ones who never truly lived. But there's a way to overcome that fear, and it's simple. You stop living for yourself. You start living for something greater. You commit to a purpose bigger than your own desires. You focus on how you can serve, how you can create, how you can lead the world better than you found it. Because when you live with purpose, death is no longer the enemy. It's just a transition, a moment where your impact continues, even when you're no longer here. Think about the greatest names in history, the ones who are still remembered, the ones whose legacies live on. They weren't the ones who chased wealth, fame, or self-importance. They were the ones who dedicated their lives to something bigger than themselves. That's what makes a life worth living. That's what erases fear. Because when you know your time here has meant something, you don't fear the end. You embrace it, knowing that your impact will outlive you, knowing that your purpose will carry on through the people you've touched. So don't just exist. Live. Find a mission that matters. Serve something beyond yourself. That's how you make your time count. Legacy is not about what people think of you. It's about the lives you touch. Too many people worry about how they'll be remembered. They stress over their reputation, their image, the way people will talk about them when they're gone. But let me tell you something. Your legacy isn't about the words people say at your funeral. It's about the impact you had when you were alive. It's about the child who grew up stronger because of your influence. The stranger who felt seen because of your kindness. The person who dared to dream because you inspired them. Legacy isn't about being liked, it's about being significant in people's lives in a way that can't be erased because people forget words. They forget headlines, they forget surface level impressions, but they never forget how you made them feel. They never forget how you showed up for them. They never forget the moments where you changed the trajectory of their life. And that's what real legacy is. It's not a statue in your honor, it's not a name on a building. It's the energy you leave behind in others. The lessons you pass down, the inspiration that keeps moving through generations. That's why living for yourself is empty, because when you're gone, everything you built for yourself disappears with you. But when you live for others, when you dedicate your life to something meaningful, that impact continues long after you're gone. So stop worrying about what people think of you. Start focusing on the lives you're changing, because the only thing that truly lasts is the love, the wisdom, and the empowerment you leave behind in others. Live boldly, live deeply, and leave this world better than you found it. Too many people live small. They stay inside their comfort zones. They avoid risk. They hold back their love, their passion, their gifts. And one day they wake up realizing they never truly lived. They played it safe. They followed the rules. They didn't take the chances that set their soul on fire. But let me tell you something. Life is not meant to be played safe. It's meant to be lived boldly. That means taking the risks, saying the things that need to be said, loving people with your whole heart, even when it's scary. It means putting yourself out there, facing your fears, doing the things that make you feel alive. Because if you're not living on the edge of your potential, you're not really living. You're just existing. And existing is not enough. You weren't put here to just go through the motions. You were put here to make an impact, to shake things up, to leave this world different because you were in it. And the best way to do that, love deeply. Because at the end of the day, nothing matters more than the love you shared. Love fearlessly, love without holding back, love like your time here is limited, because it is. And when you do that, when you love boldly and live courageously, you won't just leave behind memories. You'll leave behind a movement, a legacy of love, strength, and impact that will ripple through generations. So stop waiting, stop hesitating. This is your time. This is your life. Make it count. Listen to me, this is not a rehearsal. This is your life, right here, right now. And every single moment you waste, living small, living scared, or living for other people's approval is a moment you'll never get back. You've seen the truth today. You've seen why some people fear death while others embrace it. You've seen why the narcissist clings desperately to their illusion, because deep down they know they've built nothing real. But you have a choice. You can live differently. You can live with purpose, with passion, with a fire so strong that when your time comes, you won't be afraid. You'll be proud. Proud that you gave your all. Proud that you loved without fear. Proud that you left an impact so deep that your presence will still be felt long after you're gone. This world doesn't need more people chasing applause. It needs more people chasing purpose. It needs more people who show up, who give, who serve, who build something that outlives them. That can be you. But only if you decide right now, today, that you will no longer live for the illusion, that you will no longer wait for someday, that you will no longer let fear dictate your life, because in the end, death is not the enemy, a wasted life is. So go, live boldly, love deeply, give relentlessly, and when your time comes, let the world look back and say, because of you, everything was different.